awesome. My pleasure. Senator Jennifer McClellan.
Hey everybody, how you doing today? So, I am here to do two things. First, well, three. First, I know yesterday was a devastating day. I know we're all angry and frustrated. But I'm going to remind you what I said on the campaign trail and what I said yesterday. And that is, even though I am tired of fighting the same fights that my parents, my grandparents, and my great-grandparents fought, I'll be damned if I'm going to leave those fights to my children. And that is what gets me up every day. Even after a gut punch like yesterday, that is what gets me up every single day to say, you know what? I don't have time to wallow in grief. I don't have time to gnash my teeth. I didn't intend for this to be a problem, but I take that energy, I take that anger, I take that frustration, and I use it to go knock on doors or make phone calls or raise money or tell the governor, your bills shall not pass, and channel my inner Gandalf. So with your help, when we took the majority in 2020, we made generational change in one session. In one session. On every issue we care about, we made generational change. And now we are protecting that change. And the Senate firewall will stand. But we're going to need your help to do it. We're going to need your help to do it. So that is why you see a state senator on the stage for the midterms. Because we need strong partners in Congress. We need strong partners at the federal level so that whether you have access to an abortion, how strong your laws are against gun violence, the work you're doing to fight climate change, the work you're doing to protect the LGBTQ community, none of that should depend on what zip code you live in.
Right.
Yeah. Right now it does. But we're going to make sure by keeping the House and hopefully growing that majority, by keeping and growing the majority in the Senate, we are going to make sure that Congress acts and that they do the kind of generational change that we have done here in Virginia. But I'm also here for a selfish reason. Because every door that you knock this year, every voter you touch this year, every phone call you make this year, will lay the groundwork for next year. Because let me tell you, no matter what happens in Congress, we know now that the battle for access to reproductive care and abortion care is coming back to the states. We've already even signaled LGBTQ rights, that battle's coming back to the states. We have a governor who is trying to roll back all the progress that we made. But with your help, starting now, we will take back the House, we will grow the majority in the Senate, and then in 2024, we'll come right back and elect these great candidates, re-elect these great candidates, and we keep going. Because the curse of Virginia is actually also beautiful. And that is we have elections every year. And why is that beautiful? Because what John Lewis said in his final words to us, democracy is not a statement. Democracy is an action that requires every generation to do its part to build what he and Dr. King tried to build, the beloved community. And we have seen that. We have seen that. We cannot rest on our laurels. And that is why, as someone who saw her great-grandfather have to take a literacy test and find 3 white people to vouch for him just to be able to vote, who saw my grandfather and great-grandfather have to take poll taxes. My mother, my grandmother, my great-grandmother didn't vote. My mother did not vote until 1965. We didn't rest on our laurels. And that is why working with great partners like Kathleen Murphy and Dave Marsden and Sam Russell, and if I miss anybody because you're not sitting over here, working with them, That is why I kept pushing to pass the Voting Rights Act of Virginia. So we cannot rest on our laurels. So, are you all ready to get to work? Yeah. Are you ready to turn your anger and despair into action? Are you ready to say that we will not let the governor or anyone in Congress roll back our rights? Are you ready to say we will not let our children have fewer rights than we do? Good. Take that energy, and do me a favor. This woman I'm about to introduce was my best friend when she was in the Senate. When we were in the Senate together. I was mad at her at first for leaving. But then y'all sent me Jennifer Boysko, and I said, all right. And I've been so proud to watch Jennifer Wexton in Congress. So I need you, all of you. Yes, I need you all in the 10th district to vote and get all your friends to come out and vote. But if you are in the 8th and the 11th, I need you to come out too and knock on doors and make phone calls for Jennifer Wexton to send her back as the Congresswoman from the 10th district, where we know she will continue to make us proud. Y'all want to do that? All right, Jennifer Wexton.
Jennifer McClellan, everybody. Proud member of the Jennifer Caucus, the badass of the General Assembly. Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's so good to see all of you today. I really, really needed this. I don't know about the rest of you, but this is just what the doctor ordered today. You know, yesterday was really, really rough. There's no doubt about that. I think all of us went through all the stages of grief, I hope. Some of us may still be in the disbelief part. Some of us may still be in the sad part. But I'm in the fired up and ready to go part. I've moved on to that already. Hopefully you're here with me. Because the stakes are far too high. Now, I'm around 50 years old, right? So I've never known anything but a world with Roe v. Wade. I've never known anything other than when women get to make our own decisions about our own reproductive autonomy. Some of you probably remember a world before Roe v. Wade. Anybody remember that world? Yeah. Well, we're back in it. We're back in it. If you live in one of the 13 states where abortion is now illegal, even for women who have been victims of rape and incest, you know, things are looking pretty bleak. We have the power to change it. We have the power to change it. Six members of the Supreme Court, none of whom were elected themselves, made this decision. We can reverse it by electing new representatives, by having tens of millions of Americans, tens of millions of women turning out and voting, right? And we have an opportunity to do that come November. But it's going to be hard. I'm not lying, because things are tough out there. People are going to be like, yeah, but I don't feel like the Democrats have done much, right? Yeah, but gas is really expensive. Yeah, but, it's COVID and all these other things. Guys, those things are important, but they're not as important as our fundamental rights, right? And we're seeing a situation where, as Jennifer McClellan just pointed out, we as women are going to be, we're going to be second-class citizens in this country. Where a whole new generation of women are going to be forced to carry their racist babies to term. So I'm going to fight like hell between now and November to make sure I win. Make sure I point out to as many people just how important this is. Because it doesn't stop with us. It's not the last bad decision that court's going to make. They've already made one on guns. They've already made one. They're going to make one on... They're still going to have a whole bunch of other bad decisions coming down. But we have the power to change it. Not only that, we have an obligation to change it. So I'm going to fight like hell for every woman who's going to have to bear her rapist child. I'm going to fight like hell for every woman who's going to have to leave her college education to bear a child, or quit her job to bear a child. I'm going to fight like hell for every woman who's going to have to go back to an abusive relationship to bear that man's child, so that that child will be supported. I'm going to fight like hell for all the black, brown, and white babies who are going to be born and are not going to have families to love them. Right? Because the stakes are far, far, far too high. So, who's fired up and ready to go? guys, we have the power. And I went over to the Supreme Court twice yesterday. Once was very early in the day. There were busloads of students for life there, and all the pro-life people. It was almost like they were tipped off that this decision was coming down. But later in the day, all the choice people came out. All the women who care about women's reproductive autonomy, all the people who don't want women to be second-class citizens, all the people who actually care about families and choice. So that warmed my heart. They're out there now. We can join them, but I think we're better off here right now. Because what we need to do is don't agonize, organize, right?
Right.
And you guys are able to do that. I've seen you do it in the past. I know you'll do it now. Because the stakes are far too high and it's far too important. You need to make sure that you return me, Abigail, and Elaine to Congress.
Yeah.
I don't know if Abigail told you this, but she's the mother of 3 young girls. Right? And she said she went home yesterday and she cried all day. But now she feels much better because she came to see you guys. And she said that the energy here is great. It's strong and resolute, and the sisterhood's going to fight back.
Yeah.
Elaine is also the mother of a young girl, a young daughter. Now, I'm the mother of boys, but I don't want them to live in a world where women are second-class citizens. So we have the power to change it. But we need to make sure that we turn out and we get everybody else to vote as well, because it's far, far too important that we not take any chances. So you need to turn out, you need to make sure you get everybody out to vote, you need to make sure that you talk to people who otherwise don't realize just how important the stakes are, right? A lot of women are going to be like us, they're going to be like, look, my reproductive years are pretty much over. It's not a big deal for me. Point out that it doesn't stop there. It doesn't stop there. I used to work in the foster care system. I was a guardian ad litem. I know we have some other people here who are as well. You can't tell me that all those kids, all those babies are going to be adopted into loving homes. Our foster care system is not able to handle this. And these men are not going to care for these babies. They're not going to pay their child support. So it is far, far too important that we make sure that we take care of the next generation. So thank you guys so much for all that you're doing. I'm going to fight like hell every day between now and November. I need you to do it too. So dig deep. Make a contribution to your favorite choice campaign. Make your voice known. Turn out and vote, and talk to all your friends and make sure they vote as well. Okay. So thank you so much. We're going to fight. We're going to win, and we're going to turn back to the road world. Okay?
Thank you, and yes, we need to return all 3 of our women, and it was in 2018. That couldn't be prouder. I want to make a quick announcement. At your table, Nancy Morgan, who has been working really hard, and in the grassroots, want to recognize her, getting big money out of politics. That's part of the problem, right? So, do you have a coupon, maybe? Scan it, and write a letter, get active, and even visit her. She dressed up like a $100 bill. You got to respect a woman who dresses up with some money. Also, I want to say Louisa Borowski's here from the grassroots. I'm glad she's here. If you want to talk about getting into action, joining the coalition, she's in the back room. So great to see Louisa in the room. This stage, all this stuff that we put on are for a purpose. I know you came here for the sandwich, but it's been thought out. This is about strategy. All you in the room, we write postcards, we knock doors, and we talk about we have to get out the vote. We got to get out the vote. We know that, right? But what we have to do is be strategic about it. We have to be thinking ahead every move. We cannot just kind of keep going election to election. Get out the vote. Everybody go vote. Yeah, but we got to be thoughtful about what we're doing because we're in it for the long game. 40 years it took to get here for the Republicans to take back our rights. They thought their way through, looked at every law, every state. They have people out thinking about how they can destroy and deconstruct our nation. So we have to be even better than that. We can't just think it's all about knocking doors. It's also about thinking, being strategic, looking at every lever we can pull. So I want you to think like that, because that's what we do. This stage is about the midterms, and it's also about how we win. The roadway is the rural ground game, is working with our rural partners and getting out the vote out there and caring about them. But there's also, today we talked about youth. how important that is. Our next guest on the stage can really tell you what's really important. We're talking about Latino voters and different kind of groups that we need to make sure that we're bringing to the table. It's my pleasure to welcome Jonathan Dromgoole, who is the president of the Democratic Latino Vote Virginia. Thank you. D-Love, as we say.
Hola everyone, buenas tardes. Of course, I have to start with Spanish, being here representing the Latino community. My name is Jonathan Dromgoole. Yes, that is a white Irish last name for someone that was born in Mexico. Very proud of my background, being Latino, also being a proud member of the LGBTQ community. But I'm here today to talk to you about the Democratic Latino Organization of Virginia. DLUV, VA Dem Latinos, you may know us by many names. We are the official Latino caucus of the Democratic Party of Virginia. And it's really exciting to kind of be in this interesting segment between after a congresswoman, a state senator, and then before other candidates to talk about this missing piece of the Latino vote. In Virginia now, and you may have seen the buttons floating around, you may have seen the stickers as well, we are now 11% of the population in Virginia. Yeah. Latinos have now reached a pivotal double-digit number, and we're pretty hard to ignore moving forward on all campaigns. We look back at the last General Assembly election and the 6 House of Delegate seats we lost, and they were all lost by less than 11% of the vote. Most of those were lost by less than 5% of the vote. So imagine if we would have reached out to the Latino community early, not just 2 weeks before GOTV, often, talking to them about important issues, not just voting. You know, you've made it by our booth today. One of the questions on there was, what is the most important issue to the Latino community? Often the response that we hear at DLUV is immigration. That's actually not true. 80% of Latinos actually rank the economy as our most important issue. And from there, it continues to go down the line to health, education, small business development, and then somewhere in the middle, we talk about immigration. And so that's an issue that we are trying to make sure that people are aware of, that Latinos care about issues that are important to everyday Virginians. That are important to Virginians regardless of their background, and at the end of the day are critical issues that are important to Americans. And so when we start thinking about the Latino community reaching 11%, and we start realizing that our issues matter to every single one of you at this table, it's pretty hard to ignore the power of the Latino vote. And so moving forward, we recognize that you can no longer win an election without the Latino vote, but you can surely lose one if you forget to engage us early and often and on issues other than just immigration. So we're very thankful to be here and to spread, information about the Latino community, to, bust some of those myths that exist about us and just really show about the numbers that we're growing to. So, if you're interested to learn more about DLUV, our information has probably been shared a couple of times now. We have a booth in the back as well. We're going to be at all of these events across the Commonwealth because Latinos exist in every pocket, in every corner of Virginia. So we may be 11% overall in the Commonwealth, but there are pockets of Virginia where we're 45% of the population there. And it's something that we're now trying to make sure people are aware. And I saw some clapping hands. That should have been a clap across the room to demonstrate the power of the Latino vote. So, cuando votamos, ganamos. When we vote, we win. So I hope that you will join all of us in encouraging more Latinos to get out there and welcome them to the Democratic Party. Thank you all.
Yes, a lot of learning today. Thank you, Jonathan, and also for your sponsorship. And a lot of you that at Advocacy Fair, I want to thank you all again, the partners, and for Clean Virginia, who is supporting this. So I want to make sure we note who's supporting us. And if you haven't wrote us a little check, we'll certainly take that donation if you're an elected in the room, or we're happy with that. It helps put these great events on. So I want to make sure we get to our candidates because Herb Jones is here and he has to get on the road. That's a life of a candidate. And I want to bring on Lynlee Thorne from GroundGame, the political director, to introduce those candidates. She's the best! I love Lynlee. I got to meet Lynlee because I worked on Sam Russell's campaign, and I got to see the life of the back end of the campaign, and it was brutal. So here she is. And she's not here with Blueberry, but welcome.
Thank you so much, Heather. I also just want to thank Stair and Robin. The first time that I met Stair and Robin, Sam Rasool was standing outside of the Rural Retreat, which was the annual meeting of the Rural Caucus of the Democratic Party of Virginia. And Sam made me get into a car with this woman, Stair Calhoun, and drive up to a farm that was going to have the Mountain Valley Pipeline completely uproot many generations of this family's hard work to feed us. And I just want to recognize that, because as Network Nova has taken shape, they have always known that it is morally correct to engage in rural communities, to not leave us out. This isn't new to them. This became real trendy after what happened last year, right? Where that negligence that we collectively as a party have chosen to leave rural communities behind, because it's harder. It's harder to win there, right? And as Senator McClellan mentioned earlier, the thing about Virginia that is both brutal but gives us this unique opportunity is that we have these elections every damn year, right? So rural Democrats in particular in Virginia should be playing a very essential role to our party across the country in moving the needle consistently every single year and sharing that with our friends and partners across the country. So I know Herb has to get on the road, and I want to be really aware of that. A lot of folks have mentioned John Lewis today. Abby Spanberger spoke about him and specifically mentioned the need for us all to be brave. And as an organization, our work, we exist to nurture the ecosystem that is required for Democrats to move forward in rural communities, to make sure that people have a structure of support so that they are confident in stepping into these difficult spaces to run for school board and all of the other seats that we need to claim. And that word brave is something that always resonates with me when people like her and Taysha DeVaughan step up to put their name on a ballot. Not because they know with confidence, I mean, anything can happen, right? Anything, really, and that's real. But not because they know that they're entitled to a spot, that they're going to be able to claim power right now, but because these are the types of folks who recognize themselves as part of our team, right? There are Black people and non-Black people of color and a whole lot of Latino people, as Jonathan was talking about, and LGBTQ plus people and disabled people in every single community in this Commonwealth. And if we as a party are not there to hold the line and advocate for them everywhere, not just where it's convenient, where it's easy for us to win, who are we? What does that say about it? As Catherine mentioned, I really prefer to stay behind the scenes. I see myself as just being on a conveyor belt, trying to help people like Herb and Taysha. So I want to get Herb up here. Herb has served our country. He is a veteran of the U.S. Army. He has been held elected office in New Kent County as treasurer there. And I just want to recognize the service that he provides to every single person in this room. The worst that is coming from the extremists on the right is often seeded and takes root in rural communities. So if we are not investing in rural communities and empowering people like her to nip that in the bud right where it starts, every single one of us feels the pain of what that means and that impact when it reaches our communities like it now has. So it is my pleasure, and quite honestly, it's your honor to get to meet these fabulous people today. So,
thank you, Lynlee. Thank you, Network Nova. And it's good to be back. But I thought I was guaranteed to win this thing. All week. So I'm Herb Jones. I'm running for Congress in the 1st Congressional District. And good to be here in Northern Virginia. I'm going to be quick. I'm a country boy from Southwest Virginia, Roanoke, Virginia. I now live in New Kent County. Hey Sam, how you doing? I now live in New Kent County. When I graduated from high school, I went to Appalachian State University, and I was in ROTC. I joined the military. I did a total 25 years. When I graduated, I took an oath to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States. So January 6th of last year, when I saw what was happening, it pissed me off, right? So, and that's the main reason why I decided to get into this race. My opponent, who's sitting in office right now, there was no way I was going to allow him to run unopposed. So that's why I got into this race. In the military, we have 18-year-olds in the military, but people don't walk around with sidearms and rifles on their shoulders. The weapons are in the arms room. We go through a great deal of training before we let one of these 18, 19, or 20-year-olds use a weapon. We need to mirror that in society. We need to make a decision as a society, how are we going to regulate weapons of war? I spent 4 years of my life in combat. 2 years in Iraq, 2 years in Afghanistan. I was in Afghanistan doing Sandy Hook. My wife is a retired educator, and she was the principal of New Kent High School when Sandy Hook happened. I talked to her either that night or a couple days later. And we were on the phone, we were talking, and it dawned on me, I'm safer in a combat zone than my wife is as the principal of a high school in America. So clearly, we still have more work to do. I mean, it's great that, the legislation was passed last week or a couple days ago. We still have more to do. We're at a critical time in this country. We've talked about women's rights and when women were allowed to vote, 100 years ago. But just think about this week. On Thursday, the Supreme Court said that states cannot regulate weapons. And then on Friday, they said they can regulate you all. One day to the next. Something's wrong with that. Something's absolutely wrong with that. So, I'm going to tell you, after we win this election, we're going to win. I will be a warrior for women. My vote will not be for sale. We're going to go after the millionaires and billionaires so that folks don't have to choose between groceries or gas. That's ridiculous. So I have to drive a couple hours away, and we're probably going to be late for that. But I really appreciate the opportunity. Catherine, Stair, Network Nova. Thank you all. One last thing. I have a great team on this election, helping win this election. But I need y'all. So please visit my website, herbjones4virginia.com, all spelled out. And if y'all, I know y'all send folks down and knock on doors, we can use your help. Write postcards, we can use your help. And if you have no change, we can use a donation as well. So,
where can they sign up at? Did you bring a sign-up sheet?
We did not.
All right, lesson number 1. Bring a sign-up sheet. Okay.
We knew that.
I'm teasing you.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Herb. Let's give it up for Herb. All right, Lynlee. I'm handing it back over to my good friend.
And save the date. July 24th, we're having a fun party at my farm. We are going to feature, it's a fun little fundraiser with some live music, and that will be to support all 4 Democratic challengers running for Congress this year. So Herb Jones, Jennifer Lewis, Josh Stromberg, and Taysha DeVaughan. And speaking of Taysha, it has been such a privilege to get to know her, and I'm so glad for you all that you get this opportunity to get to know her a little bit. Taysha has been an incredible advocate in her community for a very long time. Taysha comes from is seeking to win in the fight in 9th. This is a district of Virginia that Democrats used to own not that long ago. We forget that we used to win places like Arkansas. It's like we lost once and we said, oh, well, that's just how it is now. We used to win Southwest Virginia, too. And Taysha's work around black lung, advocating for coal miners, recognizing that these are people who have kept the lights on for all of us for a very long time. And when we started to make that move, that necessary move away from coal, we also needed to make sure we weren't moving away from people and from their communities. And Taysha is also an enrolled member of the Comanche Nation, the first ever indigenous person to run for Congress in the 9th. So this is a historic run. Taysha, we'd love to hear from you.
Hello everybody. Ha Mareweka na Taniesa Taysha DeVaughan. Hello everybody, my name is Taysha DeVaughan, and I am running for Congress in the 9th District. I had an entirely different speech prepared for you guys at the beginning of this week. But because of the events of yesterday, I felt like I had different words that I could offer you all today. I am a working single mother who lives in Southwest Virginia. And I am an enrolled member of the Comanche Nation, and I can tell you that I was very blessed to be raised with my mother and her people. And what I had learned from them is that a strong nation is measured by the way that we protect our most precious and our most vulnerable. So that's our children, because they are our future. Those are our elders, because they carry our knowledge, our traditions, our stories, our music. And I can tell you that I also grew up watching grown men cry, because that is how we pray. It is a strength for us. We gather strength from being able to cry together and pray together. I also come from a very long line of warrior women. And I can tell you that as a warrior woman, we do not ask for permission to step up or to speak out. We do not ask for a seat at the table, we demand it. And what I see here, what I heard all day today, is that's what we have to do. We have to get to that ballot box and we have to demand for matriarchy, because that's what's going to save us. We are all very, very angry, upset, and emotional about what happened, and we know that the overturning of Roe v. Wade is going to impact a lot of people. We know disproportionately it's going to impact low income, women of color, and rural communities. I am a product of low income, women of color, and I've always lived in rural communities. So I feel a very personal responsibility to represent my communities and to represent that part of where we come from. And my race is not going to be easy. I know that. It's very red where I'm from. And this morning, Abigail Spanberger was talking about being brave. And I feel like a lot of times people are like, you're really brave. And I feel like I don't have a choice. We don't have a choice. And that's why I'm standing here today. That's why I'm running this race. That's why I wanted to offer those words for you that I recognize in a lot of you guys, what I recognize in my people, warrior women. So I think that the way that we're going to do this is how we've been talking about, what we've been talking about on the stage all day. If we really do get out and support each other, if we really do donate, if we really do say, I don't live in your district, but I'm going to phone bank, I'm going to door knock anyways, and I'm going to make sure that I'm going to tell people about you, that is how we're going to win this. We may lose many battles, but we are going to win this war if we do this. So I hope that I'm very honored to share this stage with so many wonderful people. Please visit my website, DeVaughan for Congress. I'm also on all the social medias. I did bring a sign-up sheet. My campaign manager is right there. So if you're interested in signing postcards, phone making, or anything like that, please get in touch with her. And thank you all so much for having me. We're done.
That was awesome. Make sure you do visit those tables or talk to the campaign managers or get those signs and get signed up. Before we have the next guest, which is our really what we call the big finale, or as finale Norton, but it's finale Norton, right? We always, again, like tradition. Tammarrah Addison is an amazing, talking about a warrior in the sense of her speech, the way that she's able to use the spoken word to just gather strength, move mountains, my friend. That's what you do. So, give it up. Tammarrah Addison, GroundGame.
How we doing tonight? Let's go. How we doing tonight? Hey! Let's go. When I say hold the line, say hold the line. Hold the line. I said hold the line. All right, we got to get some energy up in here. Right? Yeah? All right, so we know what happened. We know what happened. But we know as women what we got to do. Am I right? Yeah. All right, we're the lies. We know what we got to do, right? Yes. All right, let's talk. Listen. There's this play in high school I read called Julius Caesar and I Loved It. You see, everyone had their own missions and desires. See, this storyline had a plot that could pull anyone's heart with fire. It pulled out the most devious and delicious intentions in men. See, these characters wanted what they wanted, regardless of the sins that they enacted. Y'all, they was acting ratchet. But don't let that get you off the main theme of what was going on. See, if you want something bad enough, you go after it till the fat lady sings her song. You'll pull that dragon fire from your soul. You'll be bold to go after your mission. Because in order for you to get what you want, you have to have ambition. Ambition. Described as desire to get what you deserve. So we as women have to understand that we have broken the glass ceiling. But we're dealing with the cuts and bruises of their aftermath. But we know what we have to do. We're going to keep the ambition. Are you with me? Yeah. I said, are you with me? Yeah. All right. So my best friend, Catherine and Stair, they actually commissioned me to write a poem for you guys. And that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to read this poem. But when it comes to reading poems and spoken word, are you guys looking at me? Are you listening? Yeah. It's about community. Right? Like you're here today because we're supposed to be a community. We're supposed to stand together when things do not go our way. So when I read this poem they had commissioned for you guys, I want you to listen to every single word. And if you feel it, snap your fingers. If you feel it, stand. If you feel it, high five one of these women and men and she, he, and they who's going to make sure that we underturn and move every rock and mountain to get exactly what we need to do. We're going to hold the line and we're going to have ambition. Are you with me? Yeah. All right. This poem is for you. I believe there is one statement, motto, It is these words that are truly underrated. It has given ordinary to extraordinary beings the stamina, the grit to stand before giants and face them. It is these words I believe we utter before a temporary defeat. The words we say with temerity when they want us to retreat. The words will repeat and echo through the halls and chambers. As we walk through them again, we're going to see a blue. Us, me, you. We say these words when they don't want us to persist, trying to make us resist, on us like a moth to a flame. We stand and say, we are here for the long game. I said, we're here for the long game. And I believe Stacey Abrams used these words too. She spearheaded the charge to turn Georgia blue. She didn't conceive at the election. She didn't see that loss as a rejection. She had a plan, refusing to give in to the man. She led from the outside, getting more people to vote, instill hope. She let the naysayers say and realize that tricks are for kids, silly rabbit. Hey, we got here because of habit, perseverance. We can't be tamed. Because they need to realize we are here what? For the long game. Okay. Look at us. The diversity, the skills, the wit. We got the ability to try and try again like a little engine. We don't quit. We had a trying time this year. Tunnel vision at its best. Senior Whitney Houston, did we almost have it all? Losing sight of the goal. But we came, we studied, and now we're ready for the test. So we're back on track. We needed that diversion because now we're bringing back the whole team back into the huddle. What we're about to do is Nova, Virginia as a state, will no longer be subtle. It's time for the election pain. So how many times we have to tell you, we are here for the long game. Okay. So now we're channeling those who have laid the path, showing us what the long game looks like, never giving up, being for it tough. And as I say what you have done, I need you to stand. Our postcard writers, whatever stroke you win, you are here for the long game, all right? Our canvassing folks, you walk the path, smiling, assuring, you're built to last, you're here for the long game, yeah! Our candidates, you Southern Harriet Tubman, you lead us, left no one behind. Thank you for giving of yourself, your time. You're here for the long game. Stand up! Yes! And our voters, say it, our voters, let's go! You come through, year after year, no matter what. You are the heart of this. You are the reason why we rise, why we persist. So listen, my friends. In the words of Shirley Chisholm, we will be unbought and unbossed today, tomorrow, and forever. Now let us proclaim. I don't hear you. Let us proclaim. We are here for the long game. Hold the line, sis. Hold the line. All right? So one, and is everybody ready?
Ready.
Hey. All right, so when I say 1, 2, 3, and point at you, you're going to say, we here for the long game, and then you high-five somebody. All right, you ready? All right, 1, 2, 3.
Ready for the long
about her. That's my student. So that's why we have to watch what we do. So we're on break, I'm a teacher, but then for my student to see me and to understand that I preach what I speak. She knows that we don't play. We're here for the long game. And I'm so glad that she's here to see the empowerment of a community. The empowerment of women. So I want to let you know, my student, along with my son, she's watching you. She's the youth. She's going to see how you're going to deal with this. Do you understand that? So she's listening to the conversations. She's teaching you TikTok. But she's watching what you do. And she's going to come back to me and tell me some of these conversations. So I behoove you. Believe in what we're saying here today and go out and live it. You with me?